Hello! I heart everyone here to talk about the new Danganronpa 2x2, 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 I don't know, the new Danganronpa 2 thing that's happening. I'm very excited for this, because Danganronpa 2 is my favorite out of the series. My favorite cast out of the series, for sure. So to hear that they're going to be taking that cast and just mixing them around and doing a new thing with them is very surprising, but also very exciting, because it's just very strange. It just seems like a fan project sort of thing, but it's an official creation from Spike Chunsoft, but I don't know, whatever comes of it, I'm excited. And I'm just here to yap about what this new scenario could entail for us. So I'll go through it by talking about each of the characters and where I think they'll place on the survivor, blackened, or victim positions. And I also added a section for I can't even imagine what they're doing with this character. I don't know if I'll put anyone there, but it's there just in case. I'm at a loss. But yeah, without further ado, let's start with our protag Hajime. The way that they described the new scenario was that, like, there's a stark change in the beginning that kicks things off that causes all the different things to happen in this timeline. So I imagine it's gotta start out with something crazy, and that crazy thing could be Hajime dying right away and we get a protag swap or something. And something else that's interesting about what we've seen in the Danganronpa 2x2 trailer. I still don't know how I should be saying that. But something interesting about it is that I feel like it almost frames, like it's putting a lot of importance on Nagito, which makes sense because Nagito is probably the most iconic character from Danganronpa 2, so it makes sense we put a lot of emphasis on him. And it just kind of makes me wonder if we do get some sort of protag swap with Nagito at some point, or at the very least, maybe we get some sort of good end version with Nagito in this alternate timeline where he makes it all the way through. But right now we'll focus on Hajime. I'm gonna go bold with Hajime and place him under victim. I'm not very confident in this idea, but I think it would be one of the most interesting things we could, because we haven't had a protag be a victim. We had a protag be a blackened, but not a victim, and it'd just be interesting to swap perspectives with Nagito or Chiaki or something. But also, it would be sad to lose Hajime. Either he dies at the beginning, or I see him being a victim in chapter 5 or something. But I would like to have more Hajime and Nagito interactions. Hajime is my favorite protagonist, so I just like seeing him interact with everybody. He's just such a Squidward personality, and I love those dry, I don't want to deal with this energy. It would be an upset for him to be a victim somewhere. But Nagito, we'll go to him next. And yeah, like I was saying, there's a lot of importance on Nagito, and I feel like the most interesting thing we could do with him is having him survive till the end, because he is such a fascinating character. There's a lot you can do with him, and I just think it would be very entertaining to have him all the way through. Just thinking about some of the side content, the Danganronpa 2.5 anime special thing, having that whole thing focus on Nagito and almost positioning him as an anti-hero. I would like to see more of that angle. I just hope for him to survive till the end. I just think that'd be very interesting to get him to a finale and see what shenanigans he gets up to, and if we can get more character growth or more character regression, I don't know. It feels like, I don't know, I just keep thinking of that image of Nagito and Hajime standing up over this hill side by side. It just feels like we're gonna make him a protagonist hero of sorts, and I'd love to see anything like that happen with him. Let's go to Chiaki, our third of Danganronpa trio of this game. Chiaki's a tough one, because it's hard to imagine Chiaki doing anything else other than what she already has done in the base game. Like, just being that rock of a character that supports you through the game and then is tragically torn away from you unfairly in Chapter 5. I can't see her doing anything else. I don't see her being a survivor because we've already gotten so much of her, and I don't see how much more we can do with her. But at the same time, I can't see her, like, dying too early, because then, like, I guess the thing with this new Danganronpa 2x2 thing is that it can make more meta decisions. Like, it could kill Chiaki right off the end, and while maybe that, right at the beginning, and while that doesn't impact the characters, like, it'll impact them like, oh god, someone's dead, but it'll impact the audience being more like, what? No, Chiaki, she's like one of the big ones, they killed her right away. But it just feels like she needs to be important to the cast characters before she dies. Because also thinking about the Danganronpa 2 Despair, or the Despair anime arc, where literally everyone became remnants of despair because of Chiaki's death, it just feels also kind of weird if she were to just die without any sort of development between her and the cast happens. I don't know. That's what's weird with Chiaki. Like, I could put her in Can't Even Imagine, but mostly I can't imagine her surviving to the end, because that feels like the least interesting thing we could do with Chiaki. She'd either be a victim, she'd probably be a victim over a Blackened, right? Because she's already been a Blackened. Doesn't mean we can't make her be a Blackened again. Like, she could be a purposeful Blackened this time, and that would be interesting. But also, I don't know how much they're going to change, but I imagine that the base character's personality is going to be the same, and, like, I can only imagine Chiaki being a Blackened on purpose if, like, they just completely rearranged her AI to make her have different motivations or something. So I'll put her in victim for now. I don't know about her dying early or dying later, because she can't be used too similarly to how she was in base game. Like I said before, I can't imagine her being used any other way, but we'll see. Next up, we'll talk about Fuyuhiko. Now, for Fuyuhiko, I've also kind of lump in Peko here. In fact, you know what, I'll place Peko somewhere first. Where I'm feeling about Peko and Fuyuhiko is that I really want to see Peko evolve beyond Fuyuhiko, because so much of her character is, like, her relationship with Fuyuhiko. So I definitely want to see, like, her go on longer this time and survive beyond Fuyuhiko. I want to see her have to deal with Fuyuhiko's death and surpass that and get stronger for it. I'm gonna put her in Survivor for now, and we'll see how many people I put in Survivors, and that may or may not change things, but certainly they won't make her a Blackened again. I'm gonna guess that anyone that was a Blackened last game won't be a Blackened this game, except for maybe Chiaki, because since her Blackened status is a bit special, considering it was not purposeful. So there could be still interesting things you could do with that. But yeah, I want to see Peko growth and Peko doing some cool shit, while Fuyuhiko either a victim or a Blackened, since we've already gotten so much good Fuyuhiko stuff with him being a survivor. We could have definitely gotten a bit more Fuyuhiko stuff, because I feel like by the end he's just kind of hanging out and being a cool guy. I'm gonna go with Blackened on Fuyuhiko, mostly because, I mean, we do get in the base game how he was almost going to be a Blackened, but then Peko comes in to stop him. Maybe in this timeline we get a scenario where Peko can't stop him and he goes ahead and does it. Although I do think it would be interesting if he became a victim. But another thing with Blackens is that I feel like the Blackens have to have a certain amount of intelligence in order to commit a crime and then hide the fact that they did that crime. Again, depending on, like, if I find more people that could be blackened, or I just hardly have any people, like, I don't know if you could be a blackened. Things could shift, but we'll put him there for now. Alright, Kazuichi. Kazuichi is my special boy. My favorite character in this game, because I love his aesthetic. And he's just a bundle of anxiety in my eyes, and I really relate with that. I fear for him so much in this new iteration, because he miraculously survived in the base game. It's very hard to imagine him surviving again. It would be hilarious and amazing for my eyes, but no way, right? The only thing that can keep him alive is his utility as a mechanic, because that was used a lot in the base game. Just being able to fix the elevator, being able to fidget with gadgets and stuff. Like, they got a good amount of utility out of his ultimate, so he could survive for a while. The other utility is him mechanically in the game is that he is not very smart. So it's very easy to make him say the dumb shit that we can contradict so that we got a game to play. So that's another great thing about Kazuichi. But again, we're gonna switch things up. We can't have everyone being the same things. Kazuichi's I'm gonna say he's either blackened or victim. Going on, what I was kind of mentioning before is that blackens have to have a certain amount of intelligence in order to work. I can't see Kazuichi being any good at hiding his crime. Like, the only thing I could see Kazuichi doing is being like a Leon. I just see him in the trial room just being really fidgety and weird, just not knowing what to do. Like, oh god, I killed someone and I don't know how to... But at the same time, with his mechanic talent, I think there could be some really cool setups with that. If he, like, he's not pure dumb. Like, he's super smart and intelligent when it comes to machines and stuff, so if he wanted to, maybe he could rigmarole something to kill someone. But at the same time, the Kazuichi, in my eyes, is too much of a soft-hearted wimp to actually go out and kill someone, so I just feel like he's gonna be a victim. And then I flash back to Hiyoko bullying Kazuichi, saying, "You look like you'd be the first one to die." So, like, that's also very possible. I'm just gonna put him into victim, because that feels like the safest. I would love to see him pull off some sort of epic kill and be a really cool blackened, but it's a bit hard to envision that for him. I mean, not too hard. It could be either one. I definitely see him, like, being chapter 1 through 3, somewhere around there, death-wise. I just hope that whatever happens with Kazuichi, it makes a splash for me, because I'd be very sad if Kazu just died with a whimper. Let's go to Sonia. Throughout my blind experience with it the first time going through it, I had it so firmly set in my head that Sonia was going to be a blackened. But no, she was never a blackened. She just survived to the end and was a sweet princess. So I'm gonna keep with that prediction for this timeline and hope that we can get a blackened Sonia. We've got the whole thing with her liking true crime. I just think it would be really cool to see this proper and sweet princess, like, just go and kill someone. And maybe she'll go kill Kazuichi, because he's just a freak that won't leave her alone. Also, something that I was thinking about is, like, her and her relationship with Gundham. I would love to see a reversal of roles with, like, maybe Sonia. She is the chapter 4 killer, and, like, she's not killing out of, like, sadistic or personal needs, but maybe she does a kill for selflessness, and, like, Gundham is surviving past her, and he gets to react to Sonia's death, and, like, I still want to see some Sonia and Gundham dynamic building up, and, like, it comes to a head here with Sonia being the blackened and Gundham gets to go past her. I just think that would be a really cool thing to see. Now, Gundham being a survivor, That's hard to imagine because Gundam is just so chuny and so wild in personality. We usually don't have those surviving till the end. I could see him maybe taking a Himiko role. Like, Himiko's got her whole magic thing. She made it to the end just fine with that. So, maybe. You know what, I'm gonna put him in the Survivor just because that's what I really want to see. It's very funny to see our final trio, Nagito, Peko, and Gundam. And that's another thing, though. If I had, like, Peko and Gundam surviving to the end, I can kind of see them fulfilling similar roles, being, like, the stoic, just both cool characters, and, like, they kind of impede on each other, so it's, like, hard to imagine they're both surviving together. So that's another thing I'll have to consider, but we'll keep going for now. Akane. While I do think, for the most part, all the characters have to be swapped around, otherwise, like, what's the point of making a 2x2 with new scenario and new killers and all that stuff? I feel like they can't change absolutely everything, because, like, they'll wanna be like, oh, you think this character has to die because they didn't die this time, so we're gonna surprise you by having them live now, or something like that. I feel like if any survivor could survive again, maybe it could be Akane, since Akane hardly did anything when she survived the first time. Like, all she really had was, like, her moment with Nekomaru, and other than that, she just kind of existed. So I would like to see her maybe do something more active. Akane's just a bit of a boring character for me. I would love to see her be more engaging, and potentially be a survivor that gets to do more things. But it's hard for me to want that when I don't have too much to go off of from her previous showing of things. Honestly, I could see her being any of these three. Her being a survivor to be like, just because she survived once doesn't mean she can't survive again. And another thing with Akane potentially surviving is that she is one of the dumb characters, so it would be good to have her be there to say the wrong things so that we can contradict her and stuff. And then her being a blackened, she has the skills to kill someone, she's really strong, but she does not have the capabilities of planning a engaging murder. I don't think she fits well in a blackened role. I could see her being a victim. I'll put her there for now with, like, Fuyuhiko and Pekoyama and, like, any of the other pairings. I would like to see Nekomaru react more to what happens with Akane or things like that. Conversely, it would also be kind of lame to just reverse all the character arcs for these paired characters, because then it's essentially just the same story. So I do hope that we get something a bit more dynamic than what I keep speculating. And the Nekomaru, he feels like a Gonta or Sakura sacrifice sort of thing, sort of blackened. And, like, he was almost that in the base chapter 4, where he and Gundam battled to the death, and, like, it could have been either one of them that was in the blackened position. He could be a survivor, but I don't know. I'm just feeling blackened from him. Yeah, I don't really have any other reason for it other than just how close he was to being a blackened in the original version. So I could see it playing out for him this way. Alright, we got Mikan. It would be interesting to see her be a survivor, because I think it would be very cool to see Mikan get some sort of growth where she becomes more confident in herself. In chapter 3, the ending of that, just the whole thing kind of leaves a really bad taste in your mouth with Mikan. Like, it really kind of sours her character. So it would be nice to, like, get more of her in 2x2 and, like, see OG Mikan before she was corrupted as a remnant of despair, and, like, see that Mikan, like, truly gets some character growth where she becomes more self-confident person, but also at the same time she could so easily be a victim. You know, I'll put her in Survivor for now. just cause I think it would be so enticing to see that character growth. Love better things for Mikan. She deserves it. Ibuki! Ibuki is my third favorite character, my favorite of the girls. I don't see her being a survivor, just cause she is kind of one of those more goofy personalities that's hard to imagine her sticking around for, like, the big dramatic final trial. Unlike with Gundham. Gundham is dramatic, but he can be, like, dramatic in a more subdued way that won't be as distracting as Ibuki could be. Ibuki also has, like, that more subdued part of her, but it's hard to imagine them allowing that with her in the main game. So I don't know. I feel like she'll definitely die somewhere. With Ibuki, it's hard to imagine her doing any sort of complex murder case sort of thing. So I see her most likely being a victim. Like, it really made a lot of sense for her to be a Chapter 3 victim, as sad as that was to happen. Because I would love to have a more dramatic and interesting send-off for Ibuki, but it's hard to justify it with how her character is more on the comedic side. You can really only get more of her from her free time events. Like, they definitely could do more of her, but I just have a hard time believing that they would. So I think I'll put her in victim for now. I imagine her being like a Chapter 2 victim or something, which it would be so sad to get even less Ibuki than we got in the base game. Like, I would love for her to make it to, like, Chapter 4 or 5, but she doesn't have enough gravity to her character to carry more serious chapters. And next up, we've got Hiyoko, often regarded as, like, one of the most wasted potential from a character, and I definitely agree with that. We could definitely get more of Hiyoko and actually see some growth from her. What would be really interesting is, like, looking at what I have in my survivors now, if putting Hiyoko with the survivors and, like, her and Mikan, because Mikan is Hiyoko's biggest target for bullying, so it'd be really interesting to, like, have that Hiyoko growth arc where she stops being a little shit, seeing her grow along with Mikan. Like, what if Mikan grows a backbone and she's like, and she stands up to Hiyoko, and, like, Hiyoko kind of checks her behavior and is like, alright, this isn't helping me or anyone else. I gotta start changing here. I'll say that Hiyoko's a survivor. Why not? Because I feel like, in fan discussions, it's often said, like, Hiyoko should have been a survivor. We should have gotten more from her. She was killed right before her growth could really happen. And, like, I really see her being, like, a Himiko or Fuyuhiko, where, like, once their growth happens, then they're safe till the end and are able to ride that out. So I feel like she's one of the more possible survivors out of the ones that I have. Most of these are either a big hope, like with Gundham, or, like, I just want to see wherever characters can go. Next, Mahiru. Now, Mahiru, I have a special little place in my heart for Mahiru. I don't know why, but whenever I see her, I just feel kind of happy inside. Like, there's just a sweetness to her. And, like, while she is very harsh towards the men, not to the degree of Tenko, there's just something I really like about her. Out of all the characters, I feel like, well, along with Hiyoko, like, we gotta get better stuff going for Mahiru. Like, I can't see her dying before Chapter 2. She's gotta last longer than that. I could see her potentially being a victim in, like, Chapter 3 or 4 or something. But I would also very much love to see her be a survivor. I feel like she is a good mix of intellect to be helpful in our investigations, but also be almost hot-headed enough that we could also contradict her on things. And, like, her personality is subdued enough that she would not be distracting in the final cases. Now, the only problem with if her being a survivor is that with Hiyoko here, like, I feel like they're too much of a pair to survive together, but at the same time, you could almost consider Kazuichi and Sonia to be a pair, a forced pair on Kazuichi's part, but they were, a pair that made it to the end together. I could just kind of want Mahiru to survive, but I don't know how much they'll be able to do with her, because, like, unlike with Mikan or Hiyoko or Peko Yama, who I feel definitely have room for character growth, like, Mahiru can grow and change as a character, but I feel like the way she is a bit more set. And, like, she'll mostly be there to facilitate other people's growth, like Hiyoko, rather than needing to grow on her own, even though definitely could go through some changes. But it's not as obvious to me as with any of the other characters up there. I can't imagine her being a blackened, though. I think it would be interesting, say we get a similar situation to Chapter 2, where Mahiru ends up being a target, and, like, maybe she becomes a Leon, where someone's targeting her, and she fights back, and that leads to her being a blackened. I think I'm gonna put her in victim for now, because I do see her being, like, a Chapter 3 or Chapter 4 death that would kind of hit hard, because I feel like she could be a heart of the group. She could fulfill, like, a Chiaki role. Like, if Chiaki dies earlier, she could fulfill that, and, like, maybe I could put her in Survivor later, but we've already got 5 survivors. Again, I might swap things around. Alright, Byakuya Imposter. I am very intrigued about what we're going to do with this character. We simply must at some point get a reveal for the cast that he is an imposter, and then we can maybe learn more about who the imposter himself is as a person. Like, I could see that being, like, some sort of mid-trial reveal, almost like the Genocide or Jack kind of thing, where, like, we've got evidence, like, oh, he's an imposter, and, like, he could be, like, a red herring for that trial or something. Definitely has some potential for, like, lasting later. Given his personality and being so leadership focused, and, like, part of it is him being his role as Byakuya Togami, but also I feel like it's a very real part of him that, like, wants to lead people and, like, protect people as a group. So because of that, I don't feel like he'll be a blackened. I could see him being a later victim, like maybe Chapter 3 or Chapter 4. I feel like just because of how kind of unique his position is as an imposter, that could make him a more interesting victim. I'm not sure. I'll just put him in Survivor, victim for now. We'll definitely need to reconsider, because we need more blackens here. We can't have a Danganronpa game with only 3 blackens. That doesn't add up. But yeah, we'll just get Teruteru. We just need our last guy here. Last and probably least, Teruteru. So it was a blackened in the last game, so I don't feel like he'll be a blackened again. The only reason he would have to survive to the end is that he is a horny character, and Kodaka's gotta have someone that can make the horny comments, which was also one of the reasons Kazuichi could survive to the end, because he was just horny enough to make those horrible, horrible comments. I just don't want him to be a survivor, because I don't want to deal with that for a whole game. Kazuichi made it bearable by just being so very much my type. Just by default, I'm gonna put him as a victim. We need at least 5 blackens. Alright, so I'll look at my victim list and see potentially who could be a blackened. Like, we could get another Kaede situation with Hajime, but I don't feel like that would happen. Maybe I could put Kazuichi. Because again, I think it would be really interesting to get, like, a mechanic focused execution plan. You could really see him being like a Chapter 1 killer. Now that's the big thing that I have to consider, is like, how are we going to start out with Chapter 1? Because it's gotta be dramatic in some way. And the big drama of Chapter 1 death in DR2 was that it was the Byakuya Togami that died, our survivor from the previous game who potentially had so much knowledge, and he was killed right away before we knew he was an imposter and all that stuff. So that was the big drama there. The most dramatic death in chapter 1 would be the protagonist, Hajime. And then for, like, as an audience, Chiaki would be dramatic. Like, they can't kill Nagito off right away, because that would just be a pure waste. They can't think of what else would be a good hook. And, like, for a chapter 1 murderer, Kazuichi would work, but you would want to be something a little more spicy than that, I feel like. But it's not like the murderer was particularly spicy in base Danganronpa 2 either, because Teruteru as a character wasn't particularly shocking. I'll just put Kazuichi in a blackened position, because I just feel like he could pull off an interesting murder if he works up the nerve to, or if he's feeling frightful enough that he feels like he has to do this murder. Like, I feel like there's definitely something interesting that they could do with that. There is a part of my brain that is saying, like, there has to be at least one person that's a blackened twice. Like, Chiaki would just make the most sense to be a blackened twice. But I don't know what the situation would be where she would be a blackened without it being set up for her. But you know what? I'll do it. Because I don't see anyone else that's particularly saying blackened to me. We could get an interesting imposter blackened situation, but I feel like he'd be more interesting as like a red herring sort of thing, and like his big reveal is that he's an imposter and we learn more about that. But yeah, just imagine this crew surviving. It does not feel right. But would that be a crew? Do I have anything else that I wanted to talk about? It's a few days later as I was editing this, and yes, I do have more things to add. Very glaringly, this blackened crew is far too stacked. 3 of them are survivors, and Chiaki is all too close to being a survivor, so we gotta fix that. I immediately changed my mind on Fuyuhiko. I think it makes more sense for him to be a victim than a blackened, just because I think that would be more interesting, because Fuyuhiko, before he goes any character growth, he's one of those guys that's like, I'm gonna do it, I'll kill someone, I don't give a fuck about any of you guys, so it'd be kind of interesting for that kind of character to get killed kind of early. And then also thinking about, like, him and Peko, like, if there's a situation where one of them's a blackened and the other is able to react to it in trial, it'll be too close to what already happens, and, like, there's not really necessary. And, like, you could get something interesting with, like, Fuyuhiko winding up dead and then Peko needing to deal with that, like, I was supposed to protect him and I failed to do that, fuck me. Now the only problem is that I don't know who to replace Fuyuhiko with for being a blackened. All I know is that we need a bit more randos in there, like Ibuki or Byakuya imposter. I don't really have anything character based to say this, but I think I'll put Byakuya imposter as a blackened just cause I know he's got the wits to pull it off. Maybe we could get some interesting motive there, potentially. The only other one that I could kind of think is, like, maybe Mahiru. But I feel like Mahiru and Sonia, or maybe Chiaki, are kind of, like, Sonia in base game, like, she's very emotional and, like, is very distraught over actual people dying. But with her interest in, like, true crime and stuff, we could get an angle with her where she, like, just snaps and does crazy chapter 3 murders. Like, she could be a Mikan, or she could be, like, a really sympathetic Kirumi blackened or something, where, like, she had to kill for the greater good. And, like, I see Mahiru would, like, because she's just so principled about killing, like, there's no good reason to kill anybody, so it's just kind of hard to imagine her being in a blackened role unless she was forced into it in some way. And because of that, I feel like either Chiaki or Sonia are already going to potentially be that I was forced into it and didn't have a choice kind of thing. One other thing is that saying that Ibuki not lasting past chapter 3. I was rethinking this in that Ibuki could so easily take Kazuichi's place as a survivor because they're both goofy, they're both easy to contradict because they say the dumb shit. And Ibuki, out of the characters that can say the horny lines, Ibuki's there. She's got the whole welcome to the world of girl love, it's slippery when wet. She remarks on Mikan's fan service moments. So she could take Kazuichi's place in being up here. In fact, maybe I could replace her with Peko or something. It's just that having Ibuki, Hiyoko, and Mikan, that's stacking all the chapter 3 important characters into survivors, and that feels weird. I don't know. But this looks a little better than where it was before. I feel a bit more firmly with Fuyuhiko being a victim. I don't know. I don't feel firm with anything, really. But, there's some predictions. Surely I gotta get one thing right. Imagine if absolutely none of it's wrong. Is it even possible to not get a single prediction right? I don't know. If I did that, that's impressive on its own. But anyway, I will let past Karina close things out. This'll have to do. I don't think I have anything else to add. Here is my whack predictions. Please give me your own predictions in the comments below. I would love to talk about just anything Danganronpa. So just any thoughts you're feeling at all, please spout them. I would love to engage with them. Very excited to see what this game becomes, how they mix things up. It'll be very interesting to see. If you want to see some other stuff, I have a Husbando ranking where I talk about some more Danganronpa characters among, 44 other random dudes. I did a playthrough of Danganronpa F Shattered Hope Cabin Confiding years ago that could be fun for you to watch. I would love to do more Fanganronpa content, so if you'd like to see me react to any Fanganronpas in the future, you can subscribe for that. That's it for me. I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you for watching. Bye!